portal, and then you have to put your offer out there. And I know I may be kind of glancing over some of the details, and we'll get into some of those here shortly. Okay, so before I talk about getting the first check, do I have any other questions in terms of just like I've said a lot? Yes, let's go, John, and don't forget to unmute your mic.
Thanks. Yeah, number 5 on the previous slide, they would trade money in exchange for shares in the company. And so I'm pre-revenue and I'm pre-valuation.
Yeah.
How would that work, right? I'm worried about it. Does it trigger a valuation? Do I have to go through that? Do I come up with some ad hoc value of shares for money? Mike, help me out.
All right, perfect questions. This is why we're doing this class. Okay, I'm going to answer a few of your questions later, but let's just go ahead and get to it. And if you don't mind, leave your mic off so we can on so we can kind of have the conversation back and forth.
That's
so
right.
You said pre-revenue,
Yep.
Pre-valuation. So
Yes.
so let me share more details about Dope Coffee. So as of today, I believe we've raised roughly $250,000. At the point that I raised my first 100K, I had only done 5K in revenue. Okay. And I set no valuation. Okay. And so this is where, if you've been reading stuff from like Y Combinator or focusing heavily on the tech world, some of these terms can really confuse you, right? What's the difference between like the pre-money, post-money valuation? And at what point am I taking money? How does this affect the entire puzzle, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if you don't mind, let's just slow down here and actually talk about your company. Right. And then as you ask the questions, we'll just kind of lay out the answer, because I think this will be the most helpful for someone else. And then I think it'll be kind of confirmed once you see what I did in Dope Coffee. So, John, how much capital are you looking to raise approximately?
$200,000.
Okay, great number, because I think that's a very realistic number, which is one of the things that I think founders need to understand. So you want to raise $200,000. Now, is your company called Legacy Lantern?
Yes.
Do you mind giving us just a quick description of the company?
Sure. You mean like our service or?
Yeah, like your service. Like what are you in the business of doing?
So we allow, we're pivoting right now, but where we're at is we allow seniors and terminally ill people to create digital time capsules to release to friends and family in the future up to 20 years. So they can always stay present in their family and friends' lives even after they pass away.
Gotcha. That's a great idea. And I actually think, these are the types of ideas that work really well for crowdfunding, just to let you know, okay? Because it's unique. It's something that has a very strong emotional tie, right, to the people who would potentially invest in your brand. So I think you got a lot of good boxes checked there. So let's get back to your more technical questions then about kind of the nature of your raise. It was a little bit deeper than what I was going to go in this lesson today, but what you need to understand are some of the instruments that can be used to raise capital, okay? Because essentially you're saying, hey, I have a great idea and a great product without a lot of support around it, and I need to know the tool that's going to allow investors to invest in me. Okay.
Yes.
So a couple of things, right? So understand that crowdfunding, regulation crowdfunding is like the mechanism, right? But the instrument, right, is a bit different. For Dope Coffee, actually, guys, I'm just going to skip. Oh, it was actually the next slide. Okay, let's look a little bit at my raise here. I don't know. Can you guys see my mouse on the screen here?
Who's that young guy in the video?
That's me. Oh, there we go. Okay, so if you see here for this investment summary, the instrument that I used was called a convertible note. Okay. And so this convertible note doesn't actually have a valuation for my company. Now, this confuses a lot of people at the beginning because they go, well, if you don't have a valuation, like how can I make an investment into it? I would say if you're pre-revenue, right, as a smart military veteran, you don't see a top end value to your company yet. In fact, yeah, exactly, right. You like, hey man, this could be 100K or it could be 10 million or 100 million, right? I don't know yet. But I want to get a little cash to test the waters first before being like forced to commit, right? And if I were you, I wouldn't commit yet. So if you look at my convertible note here, okay, I offer no valuation on the company. In fact, the valuation of my company will be set in the future, okay, when I raise capital in a priced round or an equity round.
Right.
So I've been fortunate to essentially convince people that, hey, give me $10 today. I will give you, we'll start with the interest rate first. I'll give you 6% interest on the $10 that you give me. The next step is, once I get down the road a few years and I do offer equity into my company, the $10 that you gave me will have the, 60 cents worth of interest tacked onto it. But what I'll do additionally is give you a discount now. So say my company does have a valuation of $1 million, right? And you're going to buy, well, that'll be a little bit tricky math right now, but let's say you have a valuation of $1 million. I'm going to give you a 10% discount on that valuation, which means since you invested with me early, you accrued a small amount of interest, right? It's almost a token amount of interest when you really look at what it is. The value is in that future discount, because as I do my price round, and maybe I have a venture capital firm or just a very large angel investor who says, yeah, Mike, I'm going to give you $2 million for your company. What happens to all these folks who did these 100K investments with me early on, just say this even 100K is worth 110K to them in terms of their purchasing power, tack on the interest, right? So essentially they may get 150% back of their initial investment becomes equity in your company, right? This is one of the ways that you can get away without doing any type of valuation when you're in a situation where you're pre-revenue, right? And you don't want to put a valuation out. For my company, we're a coffee roastery, but we're a creative arts kind of company, right? And so one of the things that I keep in mind is that, when dealing with arts and creativity, it's hard to like peg a value on day one. Now, what that does though, is that you're not going to attract the huge you're not going to get the 100K or 200K check all at once, right? Because those types of investors, those angels are looking for a very specific type of scenario, right? That they want to dial in. But what you will get is me, or, not to be morbid, you will get mom whose mother is like later on in life who's passing and goes like, this is a good idea. I'll just give you the $500 now, right? And maybe that's $800 in the future. So just understand you're in a very good position to call some of those shots, if you will. And did that answer your question? I know that was kind of a long answer.
I was, and it really helped you break down the fact that crowdfunding is like the portal, and then the tools inside of that can be either a CN, or I could use a safe or something else like that. And that portal would allow me to kind of dictate what it's going to be.